Yes, indeed. What's going on? It's another episode of Let Wayne Explain. Come on in. The water's just fine. All right. So y'all know since we've last spoke, the college football playoff rankings have been dropped. The college football rankings have been released. We've all seen it. We've all seen it. And I'll be honest with you. I'm good with the list for real. I'm good with the top 25. Everybody is. I really don't got no gripes one way or the other with the list. I deep down, I really don't. But here everything was fine going according to plan. Because y'all know my biggest gripe was my whole thing. My whole thing was Texas ought to be at least in the top 12, and they have to be over Oklahoma for me to take it serious. And they responded in kind, and the powers that be agreed with me. So I was cool with it. Where I got lost at, I'm gonna tell you where I got lost at. Where I got lost was when I saw the playoff ranking. Because I saw everybody, the top four teams got buys, and then you saw everybody else. And it got to 11 and 12, and I saw Memphis in Virginia. And I said, Memphis unranked. So I was just like, how in the hell did Memphis find their way in the playoffs when they're not ranked? It didn't make sense to me. And then I saw Virginia ranked number 14, and they didn't jump they didn't jump 13 and 12. So I'm like, how is that missing? How? I wasn't understanding it. But then, upon further review, and they broke it down, every conference will be represented in some type of way. Every conference will be represented in some kind of way. Because they heard the cries of the UCFs. They heard that crying. They heard that fussing. They heard Florida State when they felt like they should have been in, but they got snubbed. All them cries, they say, you know what? No more. Everybody going to have some kind of representation in some fashion. Now, if you go there and you make the dance and you get your eyes beat out, so be it. I don't want to hear nothing. You're in there, so shut up. That's what they said. That's basically what they told us. So, and on the principle, I'm okay with that. I can accept that, but it just is what it is. I don't really agree with it because I feel like it ought to be the top 12. And if your conference ain't represented, your conference ain't represented. Sorry. If you ain't top 12 worthy, your ass can't go. That's just how I feel about it. I feel like it ought to be the top 12, but I do understand the rule because you want to try to keep some representation of everybody in there. So I get the idea. But the biggest thing what the college football playoffs would tell me this year, the biggest thing is they really care about strength of schedule. More so than last year. More so than last year because Texas is sitting here with 2 losses. They lost to Florida, which hurts. And they lost to Ohio State. And they played Ohio State tougher than anybody else. Nobody has looked that good against Ohio State except Texas. Florida, hey, it is what it is. So they got those 2 losses. But I think they're rewarding them because, that's an out-of-conference game, and you played them. Now, you lost, but you played them tough, and they're the number 1 team in the country. I think they get credit for that then versus them playing like the Citadel or Monmouth or Louisiana Monroe. You know what I mean? Or UT Chattanooga, somebody like that. So I think they recognize that, and they're rewarding them for that. So, and I think on the flip side, that's the same reason why Notre Dame is ranked higher than Texas. Because I feel like Notre Dame should be below Texas also because they got 2 losses. Like they had 2 tough teams and they lost to both of them. But those losses to Miami, which they deem as a respectable loss, and Texas A&M, they deem as a respectable loss. So I understand. I understand that. So it tells me that they're valuing it more so than last year. Now, some people would say that they cared about that last year too, but then I would direct your attention to Alabama, who played in the SEC and had all kind of tough games on their schedule, but still didn't make it because they were penalized for losing to the likes of a Oklahoma and a Vanderbilt. So maybe those 2 unranked games really hurt them more than what they like. But that's why. Whereas if they was playing, if that same situation, they was going by the same rules this year, I think they would have made it. I think they'd have made the dance, or at least, well, maybe not because of the whole Power Five thing, but I think they looking at that more than did last year. But I will say this though, that top 10, it ain't gonna be too much movement. I know it's just the first one, and some people say, "Oh, it don't matter. We gotta let the schedule play out, let the game play out." So, but I think we're closer to what it's gonna look like. Versus, it's not gonna be like the AP poll was week one and everything just changed. It's not gonna be that. It is not gonna be that kind of movement. It's not. But because that top 10 is stuck where it's at. Because look, Ohio State ain't going nowhere. Georgia probably ain't going nowhere despite them if they lose or not. Although I think they got some losses coming, but they're not going nowhere. Indiana's not going nowhere. Texas A&M ain't going nowhere. Notre Dame, given the rest of their schedule looks favorable, I don't think they're going anywhere either. And Notre Dame just get the benefit of the doubt. They get some. Remember that some of that Bama love what I was talking about early. That they get a lot of that home cooking too. They benefit a lot from that, and they're not the only one. But now BYU and Texas Tech, they play each other this week, so I think that'll kind of handle themselves. That'll kind of work itself out, and I think one of them will come out the top 10, and that'll actually put Texas in the top 10. You see what I'm saying? Because it's funny because they may move up and they don't even play. But the teams that I'm looking at that may come out, whoever loses that Texas Tech and BYU game, they gonna drop. And believe it or not, Oregon may come out, and I like Oregon. I'm kind of high on Oregon. I tend to like Oregon every year, but if there's a team to come out, it might be them. For real, it may be because look, they got a tough game against Iowa, and I don't think that's a cupcake. Matter of fact, I don't think they even gonna cover the spread. I don't. And then they got another loss coming. Another loss. Well, I ain't gonna say it. They got another game. They got to play the Big Ten. The Big Ten championship, and it's if they make it because Indiana and Ohio State look pretty good. So I don't know. I don't know. That team looks like and they play Washington. So and Washington ain't no cupcake either. They're ranked. Washington really been good all year, but ain't nobody been paying attention. So they got some games they got to be careful on. And if there's somebody to be had, I think Oregon is that team. Really, Oregon really get upset this week. But I don't think they'll cover them points. I think Oregon's really good, but given how low they are already, I think that's the team that may be watched to come out. But it's early. It's early, but it gives us something to go off of. So that's pretty much where I'm at with it. But all in all, I like where everything is. I like where everything is. I don't really have any complaints or gripes. Not that I really would have fussed or tripped about it anyway. But I think everything is good where it is. Honestly, the only thing, it's unfortunate for like 11 and 12 for like you really trying to fight and get there, because if you 11 and 12, you probably not going to make the dance this year. That's just what it is. You probably not going to go. You know why? Because we got to show little old Memphis or Navy, whoever wins the FBS All-American Conference, whatever the hell that conference name is. They got to give them their participation trophy, and the little old ACC has to be represented. So I think you're going to see that's what you're going to get out of that. You're going to get them too. So really, it's really about the top 10. You really need to be, it used to be them 12 you make it safe, but it's really the top 10. Now on the flip side, I think this is what the blessing and the curse is with the 12-team playoff. Now, really, I was more of the mindset of keeping it at 6. You keep it at 6 because it make those college games mean a lot more. But on the flip side is, I like the 12, but you're not grading them to be perfect because you're asking them to be perfect. And you don't even ask the pros to be perfect. It's teams that win the Super Bowl every year. They have like 3, 4 losses, sometimes 5, depending on the year. So if we don't expect perfection out of the pros, how can we expect that out of the college kids? The ones that might not even see the field on a Sunday. So I understand the expansion. I see it both ways. I really do. But you letting these unranked teams in the playoffs? Ah, ah. I can't get with that. That's where I tend to draw the line at. But I understand. But and understand there's gonna be people that still fuss one way or other. You still gonna have a team out there that feels like they got snubbed. You still gonna have a team out there. That just is what it is. And they've done as best they could with this playoff team. I think it needs to stay at 12. You're gonna have it at 12, fine. Keep it there. But I think this just is what it is. Like I said, I'm fine with it on principle. I get it. It just threw me off a little bit when I first seen Memphis and Virginia in there because I'm just like, where the hell y'all come from? One's unranked, the other's 14. What happened to 11 and 12? So or 13 because Louisville's 14 and Virginia's 13. That's what it is. That's what it is. But nevertheless, oh shoot. You know what, y'all? By the way, I forgot. I should have opened the show with this. I should have started the show with this. I would like to take this time out to apologize to y'all. Y'all, I apologize. I owe the fan base and Wayne Head Nation an apology because all season I've been telling y'all the Cowboys is a good football team. They've one of them ones in the NFC. They are about that life. Dak Prescott playing like an MVP. Their defense might not be all that, but their offense is all that, and they are not to be trifled with. I told y'all they was going to the NFC Championship. I told y'all the NFC can be had, which it can be had, but it can't be had by the Cowboys. And ever since I've been saying all that, they've been losing. They've been getting embarrassed. And last time we spoke, they was getting it handed to them by the Arizona Cardinals. And so for that, I apologize to y'all. This is not a good football team. This team is some scrubs. These teams, they 3 wins. Look, they beat the Jets 1-7, Washington, who hurt, and 3-6, and the Giants, who are also 2-7. Everybody else they beat is doing good. The Bears doing good. Broncos doing damn good. The Cardinals, that's pathetic. They should have beat the Cardinals, but you lost to them, and that's pathetic. The Eagles, they doing good, and how could I forget? We beat them too, y'all. And we doing pretty good. We 5-4, 1 game back behind the NFC South. So the Cowboys ain't no good football team, and them getting Quinn Williams, that's cool, but I don't know what it does. I know they still got games left to catch up, but the Cowboys, y'all can't win me over. Y'all can't win me back. You can't win me back. You can't win me back. It's probably gonna be Green Bay, and it's probably gonna be Seattle. That's probably who it's going to be because Seattle's playing pretty damn good. There are 3 teams in the NFC South that just have shown to look like they can do something special. That's the Rams, that's the Packers at times, and that's the Seattle Seahawks. Them 3 right now, they look like they them ones. The Cowboys, y'all got to get up out of here. Is that right there? It ain't going to work. It ain't gonna work. That is not how you get it done. That's not how you get it done. Yeah. So I apologize for y'all for that, for subjecting y'all to that Dallas Cowboys talk. And they may come up again. They probably will, but the Cowboys is not a good football team. But I tried to sell y'all on them being a good football team, and they're not. So I apologize. Moving on. So I spoke on the trade deadline, and the trade deadline tells me the same thing every year. It tells me who believes in a team and who don't believe in a team, who's selling and who buying. And really, I really didn't see too much action out of the trade deadline this year. The big one, the Cowboys, as aforementioned, They got Quentin Williams from the Jets, and the Jets, they're sellers because they said, shoot, they sent Sauce Gardner. They sent him to the Colts, which leads me to a buyer. Like the Colts, I think we can all agree the Colts have overachieved this year. The Colts are a lot, unless you somewhere in the state of Indiana, you probably didn't have much expectation out of the Colts this year. I know I didn't. I don't think a lot of people did. But they have done really well this year. Like, really well. And I think they think, hey, we might be on to something. And they added a Sauce Gardner. And I think for that team, Sauce Gardner might add, maybe 1 or 2 wins on top of what they was going to get, given how they playing. So I think he's that kind of force multiplier for them. And if you really believe you got a team, if you really think you can compete right now, if you really think your team, you got a locker room full of dogs, if you think Daniel Jones is that boy, you think Tyler Warren is that boy, you think he that boy, you think Jonathan Taylor's that boy, well, you just missing a couple more boys, so you get Sauce Gardner, who you believe is that boy. If you got a locker room of all of them, then guess what? You don't need them picks. Because we saw the Rams trade up all their picks for Matt Stafford, and look how it worked out for them. Got them a shiny little Super Bowl out of it. So I'm of the mindset, if you feel like you may be a piece away, if you feel like you that close, then yeah, F them picks. Send them things down the river. Go on, get you somebody who you may believe is that boy and put them in your locker room. And that's what they did. So I like the move. I like the move for both sides because the Jets were going nowhere fast at 1-7. So, like, let's get and they got 3 first-round draft picks. 1, 2, 3 of them. So if they feel like let's try to rebuild for the future, they believe in Aaron Glenn. I'm glad they're giving him some time because it's hard to flip a team around over in 20 minutes. That's just not realistic. And it looked like they playing with 5 people on defense as opposed to 11 they supposed to have out there. So give them something to work with. Give them something to work with. So that's what my biggest takeaway on the trade deadline. That's my biggest takeaway on the trade deadline. We see who believes in it. And really the top contenders, they really don't really need too much. And sometimes these teams just don't want to play hardball. Misery love company. They be like, shoot, you want him? No, I ain't finna give you him. For what? Why would I do something like that? Why would I do something like that? So some people just ain't go, you don't want to make the rich richer because who was trying to get a, because I think Breece Hall was trying to, the Chiefs was trying to get Breece Hall, or Breece Hall wanted to go to the Chiefs after the Sauce Gardner trade. And they was like, no, we're not doing that. We're not finna just overload the system like that. So I think some teams just don't want to play hardball. But now, speaking of trades, moving on, trades and segments and all that, Ja Morant. Y'all been seeing this stuff with Ja Morant. And I'll be honest, I'm going to defend Ja here. I'm going to defend Ja on this. Now, I don't know the whole story with the coach and Ja, but what I do know is it's some turbulence. I hope they work through it because I don't want to see no team and coach have issues like that. But I'm going to lean more towards the Ja because I think Ja is still one of them ones. Ja is that boy. Now, what surprises me, but it's a little too surprising because there's no trade market. It's like a little to no trade market for Ja Morant, as if like he's some scrub, as if he's 46 as opposed to him being 26. Y'all, Ja still averaging 20 and 7 assists, not 7 rebounds, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 20 points. That's his stat line for this year. And he's doing good. A lot of people can use that because it's not like every team ain't set at point guard. Because let me tell you something. Washington, they could use a point guard. They could use that. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they can actually absolutely use a point guard. You put Ja with Ant, or you put Ja with KD and Sangoon, that ain't gonna work. There ain't no market for that. Houston wouldn't be interested in that. Minnesota wouldn't be interested in that. That's just odd to me. I would say Washington, but Washington's going nowhere fast, and I wouldn't want to see him go to the Wizards. But let's not act like there's no market for him. I just find that hard to believe that there's little to no market for Ja Morant. We can't forget about how special Ja Morant is. We talking about somebody that can still go out there and get you 30. Now, I'm also the same one that has the point guard theory. And for those of y'all that are new to class, I have the point guard theory. And basically what that is it's hard to win when your best player is a point guard. I know that. I understand that. And I know it's been done. I know like Steph's done it and Magic Johnson's done it. And here recently Shai's done it. But those are 3 outliers and 3 point. Oh, and Isaiah Thomas. So those are 4 guys that are unlike any other. Those guys are rare and one of a kind and don't grow on trees. So, but the teams I named with Houston and Minnesota, Ja wouldn't be the best player. He'd be the second best player because I think we can all agree that KD is better than Ja Morant. We all agree there, right? I think we can all agree that Ant is better than Ja. And he's probably right there with Julius Randle, and that would actually probably open things up for Julius a lot more. Because, Julius he really likes to try to play that point guard type of role. And if you got Ant off the ball and you got Ja off the ball and who can still handle that rock, then I think that helps everybody. Now that I'm thinking about it out loud, I think I like him more in Minnesota than when I do Houston. So if I'm Houston, I think I might open up and try to move some things for them. I don't know if they can afford it. I don't know how the money would work. Or maybe they'd have to come off of Julius if that's what you got to do. But, I don't know if I like it as much if you're getting rid of Julius. Yeah, Houston. But nevertheless, a conversation needs to be had. A conversation needs to be had because the fact that there's just little to no market, unless Memphis don't want to get rid of him. Maybe Memphis is happy with where they're at. Maybe they just stand pat. Maybe so. And if that's the case, hey, that's good. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if it's legit. But because some things like that, I just find it hard to believe. Like, come on now. You finna trade Ja Morant? You finna, that's one of your guys. Him and Jaren Jackson Jr. And that's the guy you got, unless you just absolutely have to. And you got to be careful about trading superstars during the season anyway. I've always said be careful trading with NBA superstars because of what you got to give up to get them. If you're going to trade for a superstar, it's always best to do it in the offseason versus during the regular season because it's hard to rebuild your roster while the season's going on. It's just hard to do that. That's why I've always thought, if you're going to do it before the season or after the season, never during, unless you can find you a steal or something like that. But I'm of the mindset he may not be going anywhere. But, I may be right about that. I might be wrong. I don't know. I'm just calling it how I see it. But in the meantime, y'all, I'm out.